The BurnMaster. Is it a fat burning device from the 80s or a really bad grill from George Foreman? It is neither of those things. It is the newest cart reader and writer on the market from FunnyPlaying. I'm your cool Uncle Marissa, and today we're going to build and talk about the BurnMaster. So first off, what is a card reader writer and what is it for and who is it for? Essentially, it does what it says. It can read data off of a game cartridge and it can write data onto a game cartridge. Of course, not retail game cartridges, but blank ones, which you can find at, they're not super cheap, but you can find them online. And the reason for it, well, for reading, we can use it for things like preservation. For example, if you want to save your Pokemon save file and you don't want to risk the battery dying. It can also help if you want to play it on an emulator, for example, on your computer and continue with that save file. If you want to write it on a new cartridge for a friend, this can also be great for homebrew games, which is actually what we're going to do in this video. There is a brilliant, my favorite Tetris homebrew called Apotris, and the link is in the description. And my girlfriend loves Tetris, and I'm like, you have to play this. Of course, you know I'm not going to get her an EverDrive, so I wanted to dump it onto a cartridge for her so she can have a physical copy to play. And I'd say that's the main difference between needing to write a cartridge and an EverDrive or any other sort of flash card that can hold an SD card and therefore multiple games, because at the cost of blank cartridges, might as well get an EverDrive. But there are cases which, you know, like the one I just pointed out, that's not the ideal solution. So what's out there right now? What is the competition for the BurnMaster? So first off, there is the Joey Jr. by Ben Venn. Currently, the US distributor has it for $43. It connects to your computer. You can dump cartridge information on and off using your computer. The other big player is the GBxCartRW, which is by Inside Gadgets, and that one costs around $50 and works essentially the same way as the latter. And as you can see, they're essentially just PCBs with a cartridge slot in an enclosure, and you can connect it to your computer, use the firmware for each product, and read and write cartridge information and ROMs and saves just like that. Now, quick disclaimer, I haven't used either of them. I've been debating getting a cart reader writer for a long time, and I just didn't necessarily see the value in it for me at the price that they go. But anecdotally, I have heard that both are fantastic options. Both are easy to use. I personally have experience with Ben Venn's Discord and how helpful he is. Inside Gadgets has one too, so support seems to be something that you don't need to worry about, and they've had a lot of work and time to be perfected. So I think that, from my understanding, they do work really well and are both great options. So how about the BurnMaster? The BurnMaster is super interesting because first off, it doesn't connect to a computer. Everything just happens on the device, and you use a micro SD card to transfer to and from your computer. And so it's really a standalone device. In terms of pricing, it is about $25, and it gets to that with all the attachments you need essentially. So you get the PCB for $20, the little cover for $1, and the housing for it for, I believe, $4 or $5. And then of course you will need buttons because it has buttons. Like I said, everything's self-contained and it uses Game Boy Pocket parts. So you just need the membranes, the buttons, and the power switch. So let's go ahead and go through the build process, see how it works, how it holds up, and then talk about it. Let's go ahead and open this up together. I always love FunnyPlaying shipments because they're so little. got the little cover stand thingy. This is the flash cart. And here is our PCB, the bones of the system. I really like how they've put Kapton tape over the button contacts. It's just a little measure, but keeps them nice and safe. Here's our little OLED screen. I love these FunnyPlaying cases. I hoarded them for a while, but I didn't know what to use them for, and I had to dispose of them. And finally, my case. I went with a smoky black shell. I really tried to go out of my color comfort zone a little bit. And all the screws and stuff are in here. And we've got our battery. The flash card is so pretty. I would love to put it in a transparent shell, but for now I'm going to use a shell from this Japanese Mario Party because I honestly just want to see if it works, if it's worth spending money on cosmetics. Just look at that. It's so pretty. Alright, let's get started with the OLED screen. So the screen needs to face up, so I think it's gonna bend. So we'll have the gold pins facing down. Nice and snug. And the battery just pops in here. That's all we need to do with the PCB, so we can go ahead and put our buttons in the shell, I guess. I think it's actually easier to put the screen in the case first, and then we can plug it into the PCB. And then this little clear thing goes on the back to hold it in place. And don't forget to remove the Kapton tape from the button contacts. I personally did not forget. My desk just happened to change configuration. There's some screws included to screw the PCB down to the case. They're not really marked or anything. I actually missed them the first time round. I don't see any sort of structure on the PCB or the back shell for where to best place the battery, so I just tried to keep it as out of the way from the corners or the screws as possible. The shell does not come pre-threaded, so it's going to feel a bit aggressive when you screw the screws in because it's going to be you creating those threads. Now I can put the micro SD card in. Mine's 64 gigs, which is absolutely overkill, and make sure that it is formatted to FAT32, the magic word, and you can download the latest firmware onto it from the FunnyPlaying BurnMaster product page. I will link that below as well. I also have a copy of the Apotris ROM on the micro SD card so that we can try writing that. I don't have a power button, so I'm going to use a pencil. There's off, Gameboy Advance, Gameboy Color, and Game Boy on the Switch. All written, so it's the moment of truth. We're going to turn it off and pull out that flash cart, and let's try it in the OG hardware. All right, let's do it. Let's test it. I'm so excited. Okay, we've got the Nintendo logo. That's good. There it is! Oh! It worked! It worked! We've got the best Tetris ever on original hardware. Oh my god, this is great. I'm so glad. I wanted this for writing, and writ it hath. A pottress she wrote. You guys want to party? This is all you need to party. You just need a BurnMaster and a Game Boy Advance, and you got 2 pockets full of game reading, writing, playing at your fingertips. All right, did you have fun? I had fun. It was just a joy to put together, other than some really dumb user error stuff. It was fun to put together. It was not a chore. It didn't feel like, oh, I didn't come pre-built. It felt like putting together a Lego set or a puzzle or something. But yeah, fun to put together. It feels sturdy enough. I still don't have a power button for it. I need to get that. I really like how it feels in your hand. I like that it has the little stand attached to it. The buttons to navigate are great. The SD card that I used was way too big, especially if you're dumping and then moving to your computer. So it feels cheaper in that sense. It's nice that you don't have to touch it to the computer. In terms of writing, we saw that it did a great job. We've got a pottress on a cart now and playable on the cart. No issues, it seems. In terms of reading, however, so I threw 2 things at it. The first thing that I threw at it was this Lilo and Switch Lilo and Stitch 2 game that was thrust upon me once. When you are trying to dump a game, it asks you for what size the game is. And with the Joey Jr. and the GBxCartRW, I believe that they can automatically figure out what size your game is themselves. You don't have to have this knowledge. And I guessed a few different things, and it doesn't tell you if you're wrong. So none of my dumps from Lilo and Stitch 2, the classic Game Boy Advance game, worked. And I wasn't going to dump it in every size possible because that would be a waste of time. So that's not great that it can't tell you, but games that are more popular and have more information on them, you can find their sizes online much easier. So I tried it with Pokemon Sapphire, and I very quickly, using Google, found out how big the file is. I input that and it dumped it. I wrote it on that cart and it worked. So the writing capabilities are fine, and the carts that they're selling, which are comparably priced to other carts that are available from Ben and from Inside Gadgets, it seems sturdy too. So I think that this is something that I would like them to see addressed in the future. I really hope this is something that FunnyPlaying continues to support and doesn't just, throw it to the side. And so that's going to be a firmware thing, so it is possible to update. But if you are going to be getting something to read your files, I would say that if you have a large collection you want to dump, this probably is not the way to go right now, since you have to know the file size. If you have a couple of games you want to dump and you know that they're popular enough and you can find the information on the file size, or you're willing to dump one of each size, I say go for it. But in terms of writing, yeah, no notes. It's great. I wasn't expecting it to work. It's not a comment on FunnyPlaying, but they recently had released an emulation handheld, which was really expensive and really ugly and apparently functionally very poor. So with that being the last new thing that they brought onto the market, I was a bit skeptical, but I wanted to try it for you guys. So here it is. I hope it was helpful. If you pick one up, I would really like to see what color schemes you guys come out with. I'm probably going to change these buttons and stuff to something cuter, and I will try to remember to post photos of that. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here, and a big shout out to my Ko-fi supporters. Apparently that's how it's pronounced, Ko-fi, not Ko-fi. A big thank you to Tim Bolognius and Sven, and a big thank you for Chillawatt for your monthly subscription donation. It's such a big help. I have hit my first goal and will be able to purchase a hot air station soon. Thank you so much for watching. I've been your cool Uncle Marissa, and I will see you in the next one.